Right. So everyone's talking about AI these days, right? It's writing poems, scripts, even composing music. But today we're going deeper.
Much deeper.
We're diving into GPT-3.
We've got excerpts from the original research paper.
And we're going to unpack what this thing can actually do, going beyond the hype.
Yeah, the researchers weren't just trying to build a language model that could ace a poetry slam or anything.
Right.
This paper is about pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Okay.
And really exploring how these models might be used in the real world.
So not just theoretical, they're thinking practical applications. I see the term parameters thrown around a lot. What does that even mean in this context?
You know, it's an interesting question. Parameters are like the model's internal settings.
Okay.
And GPT-3 has billions more of these parameters than previous models. And these parameters are shaped by this massive data set it's trained on.
Okay.
Imagine a language model that's ingested a library the size of the internet that's the ballpark.
Okay, so it's got a massive memory.
Yeah.
But what good is all that data if it can't actually do anything with it?
Exactly. And that's where few-shot learning comes in. It's this idea of seeing if GPT-3 can pick up new tasks, not through rigorous training, but through just a handful of examples.
Hold on. Let me see if I understand. So you're saying instead of teaching it a new trick from scratch, you could show it a few examples and it just gets it.
Precisely. The researchers wanted to see if by giving the model just a few examples of a task, say translating French to English, it could then perform that task on new text it had never seen before.
So like showing a chef a couple of cake recipes and then bam, it can go off and create a whole new masterpiece just from those two recipes.
That's a great analogy, and the implications of this are huge.
Yeah.
If it works, it means you wouldn't need to build a specialized AI for every little thing. GPT-3 could be incredibly versatile, adapting to whatever task you throw at it.
Okay, so we got this language model, right?
Yeah.
And it's got this massive memory bank. It can learn new tricks on the fly. But does it actually work? Like, what did the researchers actually find when they put GPT-3 to the test?
Well, one of the most surprising findings, honestly, was its ability to translate languages.
Really?
And I'm not just talking about, like, basic phrases. We're talking complex translation tasks.
Wow.
The paper actually showed GPT-3 performing really well, even approaching the accuracy of models specifically designed for translation.
Wait, hold on. So you're saying this thing can rival Google Translate, even though it wasn't specifically trained for that? How is that even possible?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's the power of the data set.
Okay.
Even though GPT-3 was primarily trained on English text, it encountered enough other languages to develop this surprisingly nuanced understanding of, like, linguistic structures.
Yeah.
The relationships between words.
So it's almost like it's learning to translate by reading a multilingual encyclopedia or something.
It's a good way to put it.
That's wild. Okay, so what else can this thing do?
Well, remember how we talked about GPT-3's ability to just absorb information?
Yeah.
The researchers found that it could answer a wide range of factual questions.
Okay.
And it could do this without needing to access external information.
So it's like having a walking encyclopedia. You ask a question and bam, it just knows the answer.
Yeah, precisely. And what this suggests is that GPT-3 can reason in a way. Like, it can deduce answers from this internalized knowledge base.
Wow.
It's not just about pattern recognition anymore.
Yeah.
It's about understanding and applying that information in a meaningful way.
Okay, that's incredible. Did the researchers throw any curveballs at it? Like anything super unexpected?
They did. And one of the most fascinating findings involved GPT-3's ability to generate creative text formats.
Like what?
Like news articles.
What?
Yeah, and I'm not talking about clunky, obviously written by a robot articles. These were often indistinguishable from human-written pieces.
No way. Are you serious? You're telling me this AI can pump out convincing news articles just from, what, reading a bunch of text?
It's true, and it's both fascinating and a little unnerving, honestly.
Yeah.
It demonstrates GPT-3's capacity for creativity, for generating human-quality text. And that obviously has huge implications for fields like journalism, marketing, even entertainment.
Okay, this is blowing my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, creating realistic news articles just from reading data, there have to be some limitations there, right? Like, does it understand why something is newsworthy, or is it just mimicking the style?
Yeah, that's a really key question. And you've hit on one of the limitations that the researchers really dug into in this paper. It's this idea of common sense reasoning.
Okay.
GPT-3 can string words together beautifully, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't always grasp the underlying logic or context that we as humans just find obvious.
So you're saying it might write a grammatically perfect article about the moon being made of cheese, but it wouldn't understand how ridiculous that is.
Exactly. That's a great example. And this limitation, this kind of lack of common sense, it cropped up in other areas as well.
Yeah.
For example, the researchers found that tasks that involved comparisons,
Okay.
say, figuring out if two sentences are conveying the same information or not, that was surprisingly tricky for GPT-3.
Yeah.
It's like it struggles to hold those two pieces of information, those two sentences, in its mind at the same time and really compare them systematically.
Interesting. So it can write like a journalist, maybe, but not think like an editor who needs to do all the fact-checking and cross-referencing.
That's a really good way to put it. And that's one of the big takeaways of this paper. GPT-3, it excels at this surface level stuff, this generation of human quality text.
Right.
But its true comprehension of the language, still limited. It can mimic, it can adapt, but it doesn't truly understand in the way that we do.
Right. It's mimicking the form, but not necessarily the meaning.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this has been fascinating. It really highlights how complex language really is. Knowing all of this, the good, the bad, the mind-blowing, where do we even go from here? What's the takeaway for someone listening to this?
I think the main takeaway here is that GPT-3, it gives us this really intriguing glimpse into the future of language models.
Yeah.
The potential of this technology is just incredible, but it's a reminder that this technology is still in its infancy.
Absolutely.
It's a powerful tool, no doubt, but it has limitations. And it's really up to us to guide its development, to think about the ethical implications of what we're building.
It's a lot to consider.
It is.
Well, this has been a really fascinating deep dive. Thank you so much for walking us through all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always exciting to explore these cutting-edge advancements. And who knows what the future holds, but it's definitely going to be interesting.